human to expect our bird to enjoy that music. I know they bob, you know, there's a rhythm. But I know that if somebody put me in a room and I had to, and this is no disrespect, sat me down to listen to some rap music, I do not understand what they're saying. I have no related to what they're going on about, they're talking about, and because I can't connect to it, I don't really like it. But our birds don't know our music. Does that make sense? Or if we would listen to some Chinese music, which is very unusual music to us, it's very discorded, very unrhythmical in our minds, in our society. So when I put music on for my birds, at least I try and put music on that I think they're going to relate to. I buy bird tapes of just birds, you know, in forests and things, that chirping, whatever. And I have found a dramatic response to it rather than the country music that I sort of listen to or whatever. Okay? I'm just trying to take the blinkers off about being a companion with the birds. Think about the way you talk to your birds, the tones you use with the birds. How do you use your hands with the birds? I did something in the first class, and I'm going to apologize to people who were there, but I think it proves a point enough to repeat it this time. Hands up, who was in the first one? Just you guys. You guys ignore this. You're going to know what I'm going to do. But I think it's enough to show exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you guys I'm going to give you an instruction. Okay? And I want you to do what you think I'm trying to tell you to do, okay? And I'm going to shove this down the front. Okay? So, all right, so for those who can, levez-vous. Yeah! Woohoo! Asseyez-vous. Okay. Now, either those people that did it understand French, or you were reading something about my body that was communicating with you, okay? And it more than not was going to be my hands, because if I had not used my hands to say levez-vous, and I just stood there and said levez-vous, unless you spoke French, you would not know what I was talking about. From a bird's point of view, that's what's going on. They don't normally or understand the words you're saying. They understand your hands more so. Like if I sort of did that to you, you know that I'm telling you to stay, okay? A bird will understand the word step up because enough times we've imprinted it. We've not only vocalized the step up, but it has been with a hand mannerism. If we said to a bird without using hands, step up, would it lift that foot up to go to step up or nothing? No. If we put our hand there and didn't vocalize step up, would it step up? Yeah. So think about what we do communicating with our bodies. We as people, and as a Western society, we don't use our hands as much as, say, the Italians and that sort of stuff, to gesture, okay? But we do need it to talk with our birds. You need to use every tool that you have got to be able to make your bird understand what you're saying. You do not want your birds to feel isolated and not knowing what's it. Because a lot of time when a bird doesn't do what we want it to do, it's because they doesn't understand what we're asking of it to do. Okay? And that's when we are correcting it as well. I stood at the back there and I had a bird on my hand. And I knew it really wasn't going to bite me because I, pretty much know. But when people say, what do I do when my bird bites me? I get it on the hand and I can stand there, and next minute it's got its beak down on my hand and it's biting me. You have got to teach it that that is an acceptable behavior. A bird does not understand, does not come out the egg knowing that biting is wrong. We've either allowed it to think that it's acceptable by not correcting it, or we've not praised it by not doing it. Are you following me? Okay. So when a bird looks like it's going to bite, and I always, I use a sound to distract it from biting first, okay? By saying no. We know what no means. A bird does not know what no means, although some people think they do. They don't really. You go, ah, and the sound of that sharp sound will stop the bird from biting, naturally. Just the sound, okay? Then we reward the non-biting. We reward the fact that it stopped biting us, okay? And then we say, good, okay? So then it begins to know, oh, if I stop, I get praised. Oh, I know that's right and that's wrong. Instead of just sort of saying, no, 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 it really has no idea that it's doing something that we don't want it to do. Does that, are you relating to what I'm saying? Yep. Put your hands up if you own a bird. Okay, pretty much all of us. All right? So what are the most common problems? Who has a problem with biting? What type of bird have you got? Oh, what? Jardier. Okay. African grey. Who's got a problem with screaming? The two most common. You need a good behaviorist, you do. Two of the most common things I get called out for, biting and screaming. Why do you think, we don't say, oh, my bird loves on me too much. Why do you think biting and screaming are the most commonest things? Do you think it's a form of communication from those birds? Do you think those birds are trying to tell us something and we don't understand what they're saying? Absolutely, you bet your bottom dollar that's exactly what's happening. Needing to understand that that's all they have to communicate with us. In the wild, if they don't want to be on a branch or if somebody's annoying them or something is happening to them that they do not want, they have a choice. They can fly, which would be the number one, or they will just hoop, holler, and go, they vocalize with each other, and then they'll get beaky, but they don't fight. They don't normally have body injuries through a bird fight. That's not what happens in the wild. So, and they're not normally nippy. They are in our environment because what we've done is we've taken the primary first choice away, which is the flight. They cannot fly away from a problem or from something they don't want to do. The other alternative they have is to, you're trainable, you guys are good, is to bite, okay? Biting, there are many different reasons why a bird will bite. Identify those. There's aggressive biting, okay? There is hormonal biting. There's bluff biting, for sure. You know what bluff biting is? Comes from our, I would say Amazons and macaws are probably the top little characters that will bluff bite. And not everyone is a bluff bite, believe you me, okay? There is a fear bite. Most of the time, it's a fear bite. The best form of defense is attack. I don't want your hand anywhere near me, so I'm going to bluff you. And if you don't remove your hand, I'm going to just keep doing it. And you know what happens? Teaching our birds to bite, what happens when a bird lunges? What are we doing? We're doing this. It's natural. You're not wrong for doing it. But there are ways we can not teach those birds sort of how to bite. We don't want to teach them how to do it. We want to try and prevent them from actually learning that little trick, because it's very hard to work through that once they learn it. And if you have a bird, a lot of time when they realize that you are not frightened of them, they actually they cease to attempt to bite you as much unless it's a hormonal or just, some other reason that they're biting you. And the safest way to approach any bird, either out there or your own bird that sort of bites when you want to get it out of its cage or whatever, is to use the back of your hand, okay? Is to get all your digits in, tuck them away, tense the back of your hand, tighten up the skin, and to offer it to the beak, okay? Now, I'm not saying that's not a full sentence to say that you're not going to get bitten, but you're going to lessen the chance. There's less of your hand